It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Monday? We do. You do. From the Dixie Line Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, coming off a great sports weekend, we welcome you to the Monday Bonus Podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton in studio with my co-host, the venerable John Riley. We welcome you to this Monday Bonus Podcast, brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego, and the new one up in Dana Point. You got projects, they've got materials. You want ideas, they can be your consultant and your best friend. I invite you to go to DixieLine.com to see all the things that they have to offer. Dixie Line. John Riley, pennant race baseball, baby. How you doing?
Oh, man. I mean, what a great, in LA, in San Diego, this is a great time of the year. And we had a little bit of football to watch, too.
Yep. We're going to go a lot of different directions. Item 1, we do sports talk the way it should be done. We put a lot of topics on the table. And when we're done arguing back and forth, me right, him wrong, when we're done, we invite you to join us. We call it, at the end of this podcast, Fans Forum. And you get the chance to call in, dial in, write in, tell us what you think. How does it work?
Okay. You don't dial in. Okay. We don't have a 9800 baud modem and we're sticking a phone onto the adapter. If you have a question or comment in the world of sports for this guy, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, drop your take in the live chat in Facebook, on YouTube, or on X to get involved. Already, I see Rouse jumped in. I think he was on board before we actually went live. So we'll get you involved. Just drop your take in the live chat.
Got that. You like sports? I invite you to sample my website. I write on it every day of the week. It's there in the evening. It's there first thing in the morning. Just go to the website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. You give me 5 minutes, I guarantee you'll know everything there is in the world of sports. Want you to join Hacksaw's Insiders Group. When you go to the website, there's an orange box up on the right-hand side of the homepage. Fill it out. You get on the email list. We send out 2 emails a day to the Insiders Group. Want you to share, tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. When you subscribe, you will thereby get the alert, ding, 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 when we put additional stuff up on the YouTube channel. And we usually put about 7 to 10 things per week on the YouTube channel, in addition
at least
to the podcast. So there's lots of ways for you to get involved. You can really help us. Hey, by the way, you bleeping owe us. We're doing this great podcast for you. You can really help us by giving us a thumbs up, giving us a 5-star rating, hit the follow button, and obviously subscribe. Did I cover it all?
Yeah. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. Those are the 4 things that people can do to help us out.
Okay. We're going to go a lot of different directions. We got the next hour and a half here to talk sports with you wherever you are, in town, out of town, across North America, and even the group that follows us in Ireland, of all places. John, let's start with baseball.
Okay, well, Ireland, we talk a little bit about Boston was in town, pitching, hitting, and the fans.
Pennant race, baby. Boston's a really good team. Boston's a really good young team, but that was the problem. Boston's too young at this point to be in a pennant race. The Padres' veteran batting order proved that. The Padres now are ready to move on. It is time for a showdown in the National League West. The Padres are going to play 13 straight games beginning Monday night against the enemy in the National League West. That starts with the Giants, goes to the Dodgers, then back here with the Giants, back here with Dodger Blue. And it was a weird start to this weekend with the Padres-Red Sox. Nick Pivetta had a strange outing. Hasn't pitched like that at Petco Park all season. Home run, lots of walks, bad pickoff throwing error. Boston beat their brains out on Friday. And then we came back on Saturday, and Michael King was what I expected, not ready. And they had to go pull him after 57 pitches in 2 innings, but he's had no setback physically. It's just rust. It's just going to take him some time. But the Padre bullpen was unbelievable. Saturday night, at the back end in that game, as the Padres were mounting a comeback, Padre relievers struck out 8 in a row. And in that game, Padre relievers struck out 14 Red Sox batters. That flips back to young Red Sox hitters, never experienced in this, got blown away by the Padre bullpen. And then, of course, we got to Sunday, same story. Bullpen, again, boom, really strong. Now, there were some strange things. I couldn't believe how many Boston fans were there.
Oh, yeah.
I sat there and listened Friday night into Saturday, fans chanting, "Let's go Red Sox," all day. I was really amazed at that. And also, fans booed Fernando Tatis. And again, he has really been in an extended slump, as has been Jackson Merrill. Let's be realistic here. I think Tatis is hurt. He's not talking about it. He doesn't want to make excuses. But Tatis, in a 68-game span, is hitting .227 with only 5 home runs in his last 68 games. And he's hitting .144 with the runners in scoring position. So at this point, he's not whom he used to be. And Jackson Merrill, I'm not going to say sophomore slump, but he hasn't been the same since he's come off the disabled list with the injuries. Merrill's hitting only .204 in his last 40 games. Now, obviously, that's why the Padres went to the trade deadline, executed all these deals. And they brought some guys in, the Laureanos, the O'Hearns, the catcher, Freddie Fermin. They're going to hit. I feel bad for Gavin Sheets. It's like he's disappeared, which is really stunning because he hasn't played in about a week. And he gave them everything he had through the first half of the season. He was a difference that didn't fall off the face of the earth. So here we are, Padres-Giants, then Padres-Dodgers, then Padres-Giants here, Padres-Dodgers here. You look at the schedule. Friars have got 7 against the Giants. They got 6 against the Dodgers. And then 3 up in Seattle against a first-place Mariners team. So if the Padres are going to grab first place by the throat, it has to be right now because schedule is going to get tough. Padres are 20-12 since July 4th. They were 9 games back. They're only 2 back right now.
Nice.
And they get ready to face everybody in the National League West. The Dodgers, with all these problems, are 12-18 since they had that 9-game lead. This is not vintage Dodger baseball. So that's all things Padres. You want to comment on the Friars first before we go to the second topic? The floor is yours.
Now, I want to get your analysis on this whole, Fernando Tatis getting hit by pitches all the time, or, high and tight, up by the head. He's fallen down. It seems like it happens at least once a game.
Yes.
How do you fight back from that? I mean, obviously, if Tatis would, drive the balls, more consistently, they might not screw around with that. But at what point do you either charge the mound, or do you have your pitchers plunk the other team, or do you think they're getting, maybe instructions from Mike Schilt and others to not fight back?
Well, I think, first of all, the opposing pitchers, everybody's throwing heat. Half the guys in the world don't know where it's going once it leaves their hand. Tatis leans in. Tatis is late bailing out. Tatis has shown no ability to change anything in terms of his location in the batter's box. At the end of the day, they're paying him a lot of money not to get walks. They're paying him a lot of money to hit for average and hit home runs, and that's not happened. I believe he's hurt. I believe this oblique is more significant than he's ever let on, and I don't know if the hand injury's got something to do with it because he's gotten plunked on the hand a whole bunch of times. So part of it's on him. He's got to make some adjustments at home plate. Now, I don't see any of that happening. Part of it's on the opposing pitchers who can't control the stuff they're throwing. And in terms of the Padres, who are you going to throw at? You're going to throw at the top hitter on the other team? Now you're going to get an ejection. Now you're getting in a beanball war. You don't want somebody to get hurt in a fight. It's a tough call. I think Tatis has to make the first adjustment here more than anything else. But he gets plunked. He goes to first base. That batting order is a lot more dangerous now than it was 2 weeks ago prior to the trade deadline. And I see it. I'm sure opposing pitchers see it. So this is a scary batting order. This is now an impact batting order right now. So I don't have an answer to Tatis's issues except this sucker has been going on for 68 games.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing with him. It's unusual. Now, like to your point, yeah, it's a deep lineup. I mean, you got Laureano and Cronenworth hitting 7 and 8. I mean, Laureano has just been incredible. I mean, he's just really been terrific. And yeah, I feel bad for Gavin Sheets, but this is all setting up nicely as far as, restoring the offense. Some of those pitchers are coming back. Like you say, Michael King's rusty, but he'll probably be okay. It's just this Fernando Tatis thing. We've got to figure this out because, Padre Twitter and all the hitting coaches that are out there watching on Padre Twitter, they think that the bat speed is good with Tatis. They think he's driving it into the ground. Everyone has their analysis on this. I'll just tell you, though, when did he injure his oblique? We know he got hit in the wrist or the forearm, like that against the Pirates in early May. So when was this oblique injury?
I think he's had this oblique injury for a long time.
Well, wow. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
It didn't go on the DL, but I think there's problems there. And he kind of admitted it right around the All-Star festivities that there was an oblique issue. He's not talked about it since that point in time.
Wow.
So that's where we are with Padre baseball. Okay, we go from that topic. You got an opinion? Why are you booing Tatis? Does he deserve boos because he's going through a bad stretch? I mean, Jackson Merrill's gone through a bad stretch. I don't see anybody booing Jackson Merrill. I think it's kind of unfair because the rest of his game, blazing on the base paths, rest of the game, chasing everything down from dead center to the right field foul line and at the fence and over the fence. Everything else in his game is fine, except he's not hitting. So, Padre fans forum chat box is open. Your reaction. Will he hit his way out of this? Do you think there's something really significantly wrong with him? And if you got a comment about beanballs, retaliation, war, feel free. If they're going to throw at him, you're going to throw at the other guy's top hitter. I don't want to see somebody get hurt. Big issue there. Padre fans forum chat box is open. Fill it up. We go from that. Let's talk Dodger baseball.
Yeah, Dodgers played the Blue Jays a statement weekend.
Boy, oh boy. They beat their brains out the first two, and then they gave it away in the third game. Dodgers, to me, are so erratic, and they are so unimpressive. Here we are with the Blue Jays rolling into town, and Toronto is hammering the ball in the American League East. Vlad Guerrero, Bo Bichette, George Springer, and a whole collective bunch of young guys have had really good seasons. Ohtani hits home runs early. Mookie Betts has a 2-run home run on Friday night, has a bunch of base hits. Muncy pops a couple coming off the disabled list. All of a sudden, Dodgers looked like they're back, and then Sunday showed up. And what I saw Sunday was staggeringly bad. So here we go on Sunday against the Blue Jays. The Dodgers, get this stat, got 13 walks on Sunday. Toronto could not find home plate.
Wow.
Dodgers left 16 on base. The Dodger big payroll, big bats were 1 for 10 with guys in scoring position. The Dodgers had 23 base runners on Sunday, and they lost the game, and they left the bases loaded in the 8th and in the 9th. And if that didn't aggravate you enough, when the phone rang in the bullpen, those guys came in carrying gasoline. Bullpen blew 3 save opportunities this week in losses. They now have 19 blown saves on the season. The bullpen has given up 65 home runs this year, 3rd worst in all of Major League Baseball. Blake Trinan shows up, and he gets lit on Sunday. They're hitting .421 against him since he came off the disabled list. 2 home runs, 4 walks in his last couple of appearances. The guy they traded for the trade deadline, Brock Stewart, 2 blown saves, first 2 appearances. I mean, it seems hopeless, and their starting pitching has been spectacular. What they're getting from Yamamoto, what they're getting from Glasnow, the 2 dominant outings from Blake Snell. My God, they're just pissing away opportunities because there's not one guy in the bullpen at this point that you can trust. Bullpen now has an ERA of 4.25 with a glittering ERA of like 2.30 from their starters. How staggeringly bad is that situation? Now, cup half full, cup half empty. Dodgers, Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, Michael Kopech, all go through successful bullpen sessions this past weekend. That doesn't mean anything. Those guys weren't getting people out before they went on the disabled list. And just because you're throwing a bullpen session does not mean they're all the way back. It's really interesting, though. Bobby Miller, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, took him out of the rotation, Oklahoma City, put him in the bullpen. 6 games, 6 one-inning appearances, no hits, no runs, 10 strikeouts in 6 outings.
Wow.
They've refined it. He's only throwing 2 pitchers out of the bullpen, comes out throwing smoke, is getting guys out. I don't know if that's the solution right now. Meanwhile, Ohtani, they're going to try to stretch him to 5 innings on Wednesday night when the Dodgers play. So here we are with the Dodgers staggering. A 9-game lead is now down to 2. A bullpen that you cannot trust. An offense that looks like it's about to explode but hasn't done it consistently. And a team that's 12-18. And then, by the way, if you subscribe to the LA Times, did you read this in the LA Times? The columnist in the subscription to your LA Times wrote, "Don't worry about the Padres. Choking is in their genes. Choking is their DNA. Just what we need is the Dodgers getting ready to host the Padres. We just need somebody to throw a little match on the gasoline to reignite the rivalry."
Yeah, careful with the genes jokes these days.
So anyhow, that's where we are with the Dodgers. It's just not the same team. They're 12-18 with a $383 million payroll. And shame on the front office for not addressing the closer situation. You've had 3 more catastrophes in the last week since you didn't do the right deal at the baseball trade deadline. John, that's not Dodger blue you're wearing, but go ahead and talk Dodger blue.
It's unusual because Blake Trinan has had moments in his career where he's unhittable. Yep. So you figure he's coming back from, the injury. You got, Kirby Yates and Kopech and who was the other one that was in that list? It was another hella good pitcher.
Tanner Scott. Yeah.
So all 3 of those guys are coming back. You figure at least 2 of them are going to eventually get back into the flow and get near, regress back to the mean about what they normally produce. To me, it almost seems like, I don't know. It's almost like a conspiracy theory. Do you think these teams are putting their better pitchers on the shelf? Maybe they were injured, but maybe they just figured we're not going to push them hard. If they've got an injury that normally would be a 2 or 3 week injury, maybe we'll give them 5 or 6 weeks. And that way everybody's fresh coming into August, September.
I understand building them back up. Patience. I understand that. But you had a 9-game lead and now it's down to 2. And the enemy that wears brown and gold has rebuilt their entire batting order and owns a gem of a bullpen. Your 2-game lead is not safe.
No.
Because your team's not complete, and these guys look like they are complete.
Yeah, but now they got to compete, but they got the cavalry coming in. I mean, if I'm a Dodger fan, that's a big if. I'm not a Dodger fan, but if I was, I would still be feeling like, okay, it's kind of close. It's closer than it should be. But if everything plays out the way it's supposed to, we'll be fine.
Yeah, but you're not playing the Padres of early season. You're not playing the Padres who choked away the postseason last October. You're playing something that's really different right now.
But the hitting's coming back. The starting pitching, you said, has been excellent. And yeah, the bullpen is like a dumpster fire. But, it's going to be, it's in the process of being repaired. So, I don't know. I just think that if I'm a Dodger fan, I'm still feeling confident. I mean, they obviously didn't go out and get any of these relievers. They didn't make a pitch for Mason Miller, because they knew they had Kirby Yates and, a lot of these other guys coming.
The ones dragging a 4.25 ERA down the hallway.
Well, I really thought when you said 4.25, I thought that was low. I mean, the way I was seeing this bullpen, I thought it'd be over 5, maybe even over 6.
19 blown saves.
Oh, yeah. It's just terrible. And it was Blake Trinan in that game against the Jays on Sunday. So it's weird. It's like I don't feel like I'm getting the complete truth to all this.
That's where we are. If you're a Dodger fan, jump on board, pile in so you can pile on. You can pile on the Dodger front office. If you want to pile on the media, doesn't matter to me. We just want to hear what you've got to say. That's why we're doing Pennant Race Baseball right now. We got one other baseball topic on the table before we get to halftime. We have an unbelievably jam-packed show. We're going to go a lot of different directions. Let's talk about money.
Yeah, money, ticket prices and payroll just skyrocketing.
Yeah, let's just go a lot of different directions. Question for a Padre fan who follows us on live stream. Your response: Padres yanked their ticket prices for next year up another 7%. That's nominal, except it's the 5th year in a row they've done this. And now they've raised ticket prices a combined 57% since 2022. Now, is your response ticket prices, food prices at Petco, a freaking parking at Petco? It's just way over the top. Do you, Padre fans, considering you've set records now 3 years in a row for attendance, do you, Padre fans, feel you're being taxed for being loyal to the product?
Oh, please.
Feel free to get involved and comment on that. Or it's no big issue because every other professional sport, be it Rams football, Lakers basketball, be it the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, ticket prices everywhere have gone up. But what's your response if you're a Padre fan? You think they're taxing you for being as loyal as you've been? Comments on that. Let's talk also about Arizona. This is not going down real well. It's got nothing to do with hot weather. It's got to do with bad baseball and hot weather. Arizona Diamondbacks, who traded 6 players away, cornerstone guys, at the trade deadline, and are about to lose one of their frontline starting pitchers who's going to walk in free agency, Zach Gallen. Arizona's just announced they're taking the payroll down. They're taking $187 million payroll, and they are going to slice it. And their theory is we tried it that way. We can't keep doing this that way. And we got a lot of kids coming. So they're going to cut their payroll. And in Pittsburgh, which is force-fed a lot of young guys, but historically has been cheap in terms of payroll. They still have young pitchers coming to join Paul Skeens and Mitch Keller in the rotation. Pirate ownership says if the players win, they will earn pay raises and our payroll will go up. Well, you're making all this money off revenue streams. You're making all this revenue sharing, etc. Don't you think you owe it to the fans in Pittsburgh to pour it into the marketplace and go get some free agent veteran players to put around the Paul Skeens and the other young guys? Your comments are invited there. Feel free to join us, Mr. Monopoly. Nice logo you got up there, John. Let's talk ticket prices and payroll. If you got an opinion, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a problem. I mean, now the prices are high. I agree with you. Okay. I mean, we were talking about Aztec football prices and everything else. Padre, I mean, you go to the game at Petco. I mean, I see all these young people there having a great time, drinking beer, having food, ticket prices. I'm like, wow, they must be doing pretty well for being a young person because it takes a lot of cash to do that. But the point is that this place sells out. I mean, you see the pictures there, especially the Red Sox weekend, all these Boston guys come rolling in, or they come out of the woodwork in Southern California to show up for this games. The Padres have no problems selling the product. Good for them. So they should raise prices if they are selling out. Just like when you were at 690, hitting all those big time, Arbitron ratings or, whatever it is for your broadcast ratings, you guys raise your advertising rates, because there was a high demand. It was a good product and you can get more. That's what capitalism is all about.
Well, I think I credit the Padres. They've done such a great job creating the venue and making it more than just a baseball stadium on game night, and now making it a special venue in the off season, and then creating, obviously, Gallagher Square as an addendum to Petco Park. And they use that stuff for a lot of different things. I mean, you don't have to apologize as you're going to spend your hard-earned money to go see rodeo or wrestling or whatever the hell they're putting out there on Wednesday. So, I mean, at the end of the day, they've done a great, from a business aspect, man, they've hit a lot of right buttons. But as I wrote in my one man's opinion column, and we got response from Padre people about that, is where does this end? Because 57% pay hike for tickets over 5 years, well, that's extraordinary.
Yeah, but I mean, this isn't a welfare program. I mean, this is a business operation, and and they've got expenses, and they're paying their guys. They're paying Manny Machado $30 million a year or whatever it is. I mean, fans are invested in the team. And when fans show up, they're supporting the program, just like we talk about with Aztec for Lifers showing up at Snapdragon. So I think this is fine. I mean, this is the way it's supposed to work. And by the way, Red Sox fans that showed up at Petco, a lot of them were sharing on Twitter. They just had a great time. They said this was one of the best ballparks they've ever been to. Definitely a top 5 ballpark, even close to number 1.
You don't have any problem with the Padres cranking up the individual game ticket prices for specialty series? Red Sox, Dodgers coming to town, they'll crank those numbers up again?
They should get as much as they can get. Period. Especially if they're selling out. Now, if for some reason, let's say they jack their prices up to something stupid, crazy, and then it is only 50% full, okay, then there's a market signal that the fans aren't willing to pay that full amount. But as long as they're packing that joint, man, you just jack those prices up. That's what I'd do if I was Eric Gruber.
So you expect to be named a vice president of the Padres? Will you still talk to me when you become a vice president of the Padres?
Hey, man, they need, they got, to your point, they got to bank some money to make up for some of these other contracts. We're still paying on Eric Hosmer.
Okay.
Padre
fans, Dodger fans, jump in here. Talk about Mr. Monopoly, ticket prices, and payroll. Hey, we do sports talk the way it should be done. Sometimes you will agree, sometimes you may disagree, but that's okay because the Fans Forum chat box is open. We get to halftime. Our Monday bonus podcast is rocking and rolling. Podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. It is so bloody hot outside. I just don't like summer here in Southern California right now with the elements. But no problem inside my house, no problem inside this castle in our broadcast studio because of doors, because of windows at Dixieline Lumber. John, just tell people who they are, what they do, and the thing that enthuses me, I got Milgard windows from Dixieline, and they really work. I didn't get the state-of-the-art castle windows like we see here, the big high windows and the doors, etc. But Dixieline services you regardless of what your needs might be. Go ahead and talk about doors and windows at Dixieline.
Yeah, they just do a great job with doors and windows. And if you are in a home that's let's say 20 years old, you're going to need to replace your windows at some point because the wear and tear, the seals kind of break down. Sometimes they get kind of gunky in the slide there, and you just need to have some kind of an upgrade. And man, people always rave about that. When they get new windows, it's like their house is completely different. The acoustics are better. The temperature regulation is better and it looks a lot better. And when you have like family come into town, you're not embarrassed by your rusty old windows that you've had there. But, the other thing about Dixieline I think it's worth talking about is, they not only serve the homeowner, but also the contractor. And I'm thinking about a lot of the Dixieline customers right now that are outside, man, building homes, and that's tough work in the summer right now. It's so hot out there.
Dixieline, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. Just go online, scroll through their website, see all the wide variety of things they have to offer. Dixieline Lumber. We are at halftime, our Monday bonus podcast with a ton of topics on the table. It's brought to you by Dixieline Lumber. Reminder, when we're done, you're going to take over this live stream podcast. You talk to the people in North America and the ones that follow us from Ireland and New Mexico, wherever the hell they are. Fans Forum chat box will start as soon as we're done talking about the hot topics on the table. And again, for the new people on live stream, John, how does Fans Forum work?
Yeah, Fans Forum is your chance to get involved. You have a question or comment for Hacksaw, drop your take in the live chat preferably on YouTube, but also on X or on Facebook, and we'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
Also want to remind you, I write about sports every day of the week. It's there on my website, first thing every morning. You give me 5 minutes. You'll know everything there is in the world of sports. I cover anything and everything. So do that. Check my website. Also, become part of Hacksaw's Insiders Group. You'll get 2 special emails every day for the Insiders Group. You can fill out the entry form right there on the homepage of my website. Want you to share, want you to subscribe. When you subscribe, you get alerts every time we put something up on the YouTube channel. And we put 7 to 10 additional things up on the YouTube channel, in addition to the lengthy podcast that we do on Monday and Thursdays. And tell people Hacksaw's back. We're on Mondays at 1:30, Thursdays at 1:30. Want you to join me on social media, become part of my Twitter all-star team. Just go to X, type in my name. It's not dumbass. Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. or Hacksaw 1090. Hit the follow button. Then you can participate in Hacksaw's mini polls because I ask probing questions every day of the week. Yeah, look, I go around looking to hit your hot button, but join me at Hacksaw 1090 on X, aka on Twitter. Okay, so we're going a lot of different directions. We have covered baseball. Let's talk about the NFL. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, some pretty interesting, preseason games. Let's talk a little Chargers and Rams.
Yeah, good news and bad news. More bad news at this hour than good news. Yeah, the Chargers are 2-0, and the Rams won a preseason game. The Rashawn Slater situation, devastating. Lose the left tackle. Sports medicine people I canvassed told me 10 to 12-month rehab. Not a full guarantee this guy comes back to be what he was before. There's a Players Association survey that shows 79% of the guys that have had ruptured patella tendons don't return to the level of play they were at before. There's atrophy, there's loss of strength. So he's got a real challenge ahead of him. Mekhi Becton is not part of practice. Jim Harbaugh is refusing. I wish there was a little bit more transparency and honesty from the Chargers coaches, refusing to talk about what's wrong with Becton. Becton, the big right guard making all this money, had been with the Eagles last year and stayed healthy most of the year. Prior to that, had a ton of injury problems while with the New York Jets. They're also not talking about Najee Harris. Now, there's a second insinuation. I thought, and I had mentioned this on the podcast, my biggest concern, because he got hit in the eye with his fireworks display, my biggest concern was maybe he had a fractured orbital bone, which is why he could not practice. Now they're saying that there are pictures out there of him and his eyelids closed, that he's lost muscular control of the eyelid, and you can't play football if you can't have your eyes open.
That's weird.
So all he's doing is walking. He's not doing no jogging. He's doing no football-related stuff whatsoever. But the Harbaugh refuses to enunciate. I'm not a doctor. No, you're not. I understand that. But you know what the doctors have told you about the extent of the injury. Why can't you be honest to talk about the specifics of what's happened to Najee Harris? So that's concern to me. Restructuring offensive line beginning tomorrow when I go back to practice. Joe Alt goes to left tackle. They just signed a journeyman left tackle, David Sharp, who used to be in Baltimore with the Ravens, hasn't played in 2 years. At this point, if you lose a lineman, it's tough to go find a replacement. There's nobody out there on the street. David Sharp has not played in the NFL since 2023. Pretty impressive performance by the Charger kids. Lopsided game against what I think is a really bad New Orleans Saints team. Defense had 5 sacks. Defense had 3 takeaways. Trey Lance didn't throw the ball well, but he did scramble move the pocket a lot. Probably deserves the chance to play in the 3rd and 4th preseason games just to see if maybe he'd be more explosive and dangerous. But he's not very consistent. So maybe Taylor Heinicke keeps the job only because he's a trusted veteran, although he's not making very many plays in preseason. They got 2 more kids I think they've really uncovered. This kid out of Division II Ferris State, linebacker, he's everywhere. Caleb Murphy.
Yeah,
he had 2 sacks, a forced fumble. He was everywhere at linebacker. And a young cornerback by the name of Eric Rogers, a pick 6, had 2 interceptions and a pass deflection in the win against New Orleans. So there's a bunch of things here with the Chargers that really scare me. This Harbaugh handling of the injury information really disappoints me. And in terms of the Rams, now they got another problem. And now it's time to say, you got to be concerned. Matthew Stafford threw 60 passes on Saturday morning at the Rams facility. Sean McVay said he threw every type of pass that was in the playbook. Soft toss, outs, slants, deep stuff, move the pocket, etc. Had no problems. Back problems resurfaced. Could not practice today. Went into a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. He, of course, has already had the epidural injections. He's been on a doctor's treatment, stretching, etc. All of a sudden, now we're in the 4th week, and he's not practicing at all. So they haven't detailed any further thing, but now they're on the clock with 2 exhibition games left. There's a big issue here about how significant is this? And he got through Saturday's workout with no issue. All of a sudden, now he can't throw a football again. It's like it's come back again. So I'm really concerned about that. And in terms of the Rams, they beat the holy hell out of the Cowboys, ran the football well. I think they found themselves another receiver kid by the name of Xavier Smith. Had 3 catches for 55. They're deep at receiver, but this guy's a big, rangy guy. He had a good camp last year, and then he got hurt. So that's where they are after they trashed the Dallas Cowboys. Stetson Bennett looks so different. He had injury problems as a rookie. He's the quarterback out of Georgia, a mental health issue. He looks so different. Threw for 188 yards, 4 scoring drives. So maybe he's going to push Garoppolo for playing time. If he gets, he's going to get 2 more opportunities to play, but he looks very different in terms of composure and confidence, etc. You want to comment on the Chargers? You want to comment on the Rams? The floor belongs to you, and don't throw an incompletion.
Yeah, well, imagine if you're like the Chargers coaching staff, because you're making decisions on who's going to make this team, who's going to survive the next cut. And I'm sure they're looking at things differently than we're looking at them, on television, because you're saying like, Trey Lance is inconsistent as quarterback, but he's throwing to a bunch of dudes that are like probably not going to make the team, or maybe you're only going to be on the developmental squad. So it's tricky on, I think, how you judge some of these guys in the preseason environment that they're playing in.
But you're going to have guys running open. You got to hit the pass. Or you have to make decisions in your progressions. Don't throw it into coverage you can't complete it in. He hasn't been consistent doing that. But they got 2 more preseason games. We'll just see. But his athleticism, his ability to move the pocket and create on the run, that's different than anything they've had at backup quarterback in a while.
Yeah, it's good to have like a different dimension when you bring in a backup. As far as the Rams go, I mean, this Stafford thing has got to be concerning. But, over the weekend, Rams fans were saying, it's going to be fine. He's one of the toughest quarterbacks in the league. Nothing to worry about here. But now you're saying he's going to like one of these
oxygen chambers.
So it's like a boy in a bubble kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does that do? I mean, it fills you with oxygen? Does it relax the back muscles, or?
Supposedly, yeah, it helps you in the healing process. That doesn't help him if he's not practicing at all. I mean, he's not been in pads once. And it was odd because he went through all the OTAs and went to Maui when they took the team there for the mini camps. He had no problems at all. He held a private passing consortium with Devontae Adams and Nakua, the tight ends, etc. He had no problems. All of a sudden, this surfaces.
Well, that's how back injuries usually are, right? I mean, you just make one weird move and then suddenly you're down for the count.
I'll sign that memo.
Yeah, so I'm sure he's probably going through some of it. I mean, as a professional athlete, think about how much torque is on your muscles, on your skeleton system. I mean, so yeah, I'm feeling it for him as I've been in that spot.
And think about, he's going to get hit.
And he's getting the best, health care. He's got therapists trying to work all those knots out. But I don't know how to fix that.
So Jimmy Garoppolo might be your starter come opening day. I mean, I was hoping we'd find out this morning at practice that he went through the first walkthrough and did whatever he would do, and they'd progressively move him up. He's not there. He was on the field, and then he never got dressed. Well, on the field, went to this athletic center training bubble, if you will.
Now, one question I have, let's go back to the Chargers for a minute. Najee Harris, you say, the situation sounds pretty difficult. I mean, he's losing control of the muscles around his eye. Let's hypothetically say that he has to retire. I mean, it'd be an awful thing. He have to step down, obviously be a blow to the Chargers roster, but contractually, how do they work that out? Because the Chargers must have some sort of an insurance policy for this sort of thing.
Yeah, there's probably some injury protection, but this was a non-football issue. And that's where it gets really dicey, because a lot of that stuff, this happened away from football. We're voiding your contract because you did something away from football. It was not that you were injured in practice or got hurt in a game, which would guarantee everything. So we'll see where that goes. But the fact that they're not being transparent at all, I just don't buy the reaction by Harbaugh. I think he's got a responsibility. And telling the media whatever the specifics of the eye injury, that's not going to impact his ability to heal quicker, heal slower, etc. He'll be ready to play when he's healed and ready to play. But why is there not information about the specifics of the injury? This is a pretty significant thing.
Yeah. I mean, it is a significant thing. So, I mean, I just think about like a lot of guys, I mean, they get injured, get poked in the eye, all kinds. I remember LT always had that face guard.
Right.
to prevent from that. But what he did, when Najee Harris did, I mean, I wasn't there, but it's kind of dumb, playing with fireworks. So I think if the Chargers wanted to legally have an out on this contract, they might have it.
Oh, I think they do. It's a non-football injury.
Yeah, and especially for doing something that's stupid.
So that's where we are there. Our Chargers, Rams fans, you're concerned about the Bolts, what you saw, what you liked, what concerns you. Rams fan, give me a reaction to the Stafford situation. I'm really worried about that. And he's such a leader. He's such a warrior. He's such a good guy. To have this setback the way it is right now, not good. We're not done. Next topic on the table involves all the games that we watch.
Yeah, the rookie watch is on, and was loving watching Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, let's just go through the notebook here. Storylines, Cleveland Browns, first helmet up there in the upper left. Shedeur Sanders, 14 for 23 and a $138. He kind of looked freaked out first half, came back, played with more composure second half. He is unbelievably athletic. It was scramble ball at its absolute best. You could see why he would throw for 11,000 yards at Jackson State and at Colorado just based on his athleticism. Now, that being said, he put balls into areas in the NFL. You can't do that. You're not playing in the Big 12. You're not playing in the SWAC. He was throwing in triple coverages. He was throwing late. He was throwing where the DBs in front of the receivers. Pal, we do that against Pro Bowlers. Those are picks. So, and he scrambled because the protection was kind of shoddy. He kept dropping back, scrambling, and going further south. He took a 28-yard quarterback sack because he kept zigzagging back, trying to get out of trouble. This is maturity. This is reps. This is, okay, I'm in trouble. I'm going to scramble, can't make a play. I'm going to dump it out. Don't be zigzagging back and forth. I think there's really a lot of upside because he's got instincts and he's got athleticism, but he's got the polish decision-making because you can't put the ball where he tried to put the ball in tight windows. It's going to be disastrous. But I would hope Cleveland would play him in the second and third preseason games, a half each, just to give him more reps and just see how this jump goes because he's got gifts. Tennessee, I just wish that Cam Ward had gotten more reps. He was only 5 of 8 for only 67 yards. It was kind of frantic. He doesn't have a good team around him. He needs more reps with the Tennessee Titans. Jacksonville, we were told to expect something really unique, and I was kind of disappointed we didn't get it. Travis Hunter only played 10 snaps on offense, only 8 snaps as a third down back. He had 2 short catches for only 9 yards. They didn't throw against him when he was playing cornerback, but in a wide open field, he totally blew and missed a tackle. So there's still a lot of work to be done. So we didn't see as much from Travis Hunter as we'd hoped. Raiders, we saw even less. They ran Ashton Genty 3 times in one series, -1 yard, had nowhere to run. And then he was out of the game for the rest of the game up in Seattle. I thought we would have seen a lot more. I will say this, Aiden O'Connell, he really played well. Threw for 205, couple of touchdowns. He looks so different in Chip Kelly's offense in terms of getting the ball out of there, etc. So maybe he's making a jump from what he was a year ago when he was frantic and a young quarterback and a bad team. I was pretty impressed with his composure, his ability to go through his progressions and to make the passes. Seattle, George Holani. Know that name?
Yeah.
Running back, Boise State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few years ago.
Oh, he was there for 4 years.
Uh-huh.
George Holani had 81 all-purpose yards for the Seahawks, and they're looking for running backs.
Yeah.
I always thought he was really productive. Of course, Ashton Genty showed up 2 years ago, and everything changed, and Holani had a bunch of injuries too. But he had a pretty good career there, so keep an eye on that name in Seattle. New England, opening kickoff. First time he saw the ball, Ohio State running back Travion Henderson goes 100 for a touchdown.
Hell yeah.
Vroom. Very impressive physical runner. First time he ran the ball out of the backfield, 18-yard run.
Right on.
So they've been looking for a big back with some explosion. New England may have found that. New York Giants. I kept asking a question. You drafted him and he's third on the depth chart and you're hardly going to play him? Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss quarterback, got the chance to play the entire second half. He threw for 154 and ran for 24.
Yeah.
Giant fans said, wow. he was pretty impressive. Now, they're not going to sit Russell Wilson, but I hope in the next 2 preseason games, Giants going to give Jackson Dart a lot more opportunities because the stage was not too big for him. I understand it was an exhibition game and you're playing against guys that'll be working at Burger King in 2 weeks when the rosters get cut. But he hung in there. He made a bunch of plays. The last one, it's a controversial story. Detroit plays Atlanta. One of the rookie Lions safeties goes down with a neck and head injury. He went to make a tackle. Guy got blocked. The running back's knee hit the Lions safety. His head snapped. He went down, bad concussion, looked like he had a seizure. I saw some of the video. It was gruesome. It was scary. He was on the field for 20 minutes. NFL doctors finally got him stabilized. They got him to the hospital. He spent 2 days in the hospital, released from the hospital Sunday night. He was in the Lions facility just for meetings. I don't think he's going to play for an extended period of time. However, there's some controversy about this because Dan Campbell met with Raheem Morris, the 2 head coaches. The players were shocked at the severity, and everybody saw this young safety lying on the field and his limbs are going like this. It was a very scary video. And then the doctors finally calmed him down. The players told the coaches they did not want to play the end of the game. And Dan Campbell met with Raheem Morris, and then they met with Skip Hockley, who was the referee, and they said, we don't really want to play this game just because of the severity and the trauma to the player and what the players on both sides are experiencing. And anyhow, the league had sent a note or messaged the game must go on. So Dan Campbell and Raheem Morris said, we're going to take 1 snap, and our guys are going to stand there, and they're going to let the clock run out. 14 minutes. So after 6 minutes, Hockley signaled timeout, met with the coaches. Coaches said, we do not want to continue this game. Hockley said, I understand. So they canceled the game. We stopped with 14 minutes to go in the 4th quarter, and it was strange. It took 1 snap after they put the ball in play, after the player was removed and on an ambulance and taken to the hospital. Took 1 snap. They stood there and looked at each other and stood there and stood there and stood there for 6 minutes. And then finally, Hockley acceded to what the coaches want. The league is really upset because Dan Campbell went against what the league demanded. Well, so I don't know. So those are stories here you want to talk about. Shedeur, everybody else, and what happened on the sidelines, Detroit versus Atlanta. John, go ahead.
Yeah, I just love Shedeur Sanders, getting a lot of love from just football fans, a lot of Shedeur fans kind of saying, see, we told you so. This guy, he was, Mel Kiper Jr. is probably feeling pretty good about this because remember during the draft, he was slamming NFL teams for not picking him. So I think it's great. Imagine if the Cleveland Browns franchise could be revolutionized by, Coach Prime's son. I mean, that's just a great story, and you got Joe Flacco, you got Kenny Pickett, neither one of those guys are going to win you a Super Bowl.
You got 5 on your roster, 5 quarterbacks on your roster. You don't have a starter.
No, they gotta sort this out. But I think Shedeur fans are saying right on, and I know that guys like LeBron and, other, celebrities and athletes are all like, you go, and I think it's good. I think it's really good for the league. And, some of those passes he made, I remember there's that one time, I think it was one of the tight ends down the line, made that one-handed catch, and he just kind of dropped that ball right in the spot where no one else could intercept it. So that showed a lot of maturity as well. I mean, if I'm a Browns fan, I've got to be a little bit optimistic.
Give him another kick or 2 at the can, and let's see. But when you start playing real people, you can't throw the ball where he was throwing the ball.
Oh, yeah. He was threading the needle a lot. The Detroit situation is tricky because I totally get it from the players' perspective. They want to be respectful to their comrade who went down, who's hurt, and they want to focus on safety, and the league wants to focus on safety, but you got paying customers, and there's a lot of other players that can still play, and the coaches probably want to see a lot of other things from some of these other players. To me, it makes sense that Roger Goodell would say, we need to play the game and we need to finish this out. And it also kind of makes sense that the players sort of found a loophole around it. So I mean, it kind of worked out, but I don't know. If I'm a fan, it was the Falcons and the Lions, and it was in Detroit.
Yep.
So I just wonder what Detroit Lions fans think about that, because they're already upset. You got to pay full price for those preseason tickets.
Well, we had that regular season game. Was it 2 years ago with Buffalo where the player had the cardiac arrest on the field and they saved his life?
Oh, yeah.
But it took forever for that to occur, and the NFL doctors and the protocols all worked. And those players didn't want to play the game, but they came back and played the game. And that was during the course of the season. Dan Campbell's rationale this morning was this is a meaningless practice. These players were traumatized by the seriousness of what they saw with one of their fallen teammates. I hope the league doesn't fine the Lions and fine the Falcons. That'd be a bad message too. But I guess I understand your public stance. Game must go on because fans paid all this money.
Yeah, but I think in the end, I think they did it right. I mean, they didn't cut the game short. They let the clock play out, and they respected their teammate. And as long as the fans aren't angry about it, they paid the price, then it's fine.
Okay.
But I want to go back one comment. Hockley, is that Skip Hockley? Is he the son of Ed?
He sure is.
So I just remember Ed had those guns,
yep.
And he was like one of the first refs to really kind of show off. Yeah, he was lifting, and you see that now in basketball refs and baseball guys too, to some degree.
Okay, so we go from teams and games and kid quarterbacks and rookies. A couple of other NFL headlines here, John.
Yeah, let's start it off here. Here's Dan Campbell again.
Well, I was going to mention Dan Campbell. I hope he doesn't get disciplined by the league because he just stood up and said what he believed and doing things on behalf of his players. And he credited Raheem Morris for Morris standing up for his Atlanta Falcons players. So it'll be interesting to see where that story goes as to whether there is discipline action. Do you think Fans Forum chat box is open? Do you think the league should fine the Lions and the Falcons for what those coaches did and what their players said we don't want to play? Be part of the discussion. Second guy is DeMaurice Smith. Remember him? Former executive director, Players Association. DeMaurice Smith goes public over the weekend, speaking in a seminar, says the union represents the players. Well, the union has to file a grievance against Roger Goodell and the management council for this collusion situation. Now, DeMaurice Smith did not make mention of Lloyd Howell, the deposed, fired executive director, who had information after a grievance hearing that there was collusion against 594 players, including quarterbacks, and never passed that information on to the Players Association's executive committee, and the players never were notified of it. So DeMaurice Smith says, your job as the leader of that union, John Riley, is to make sure you ferret out all the information to the players so they can respond accordingly. And Lloyd Howell covered it up, did nothing about it. And then it leaked out, and that's why he was removed just 2 weeks ago. DeMaurice Smith said the league needs to go back and now file a second grievance against the National Football League about the collusion. Jerry Jones just talks and talks and talks. He's kind of like the president you voted for. Talks and talks and talks.
Yeah, like you.
Jerry Jones, Cowboys have won 5 playoff games in 29 years.
Yeah.
They have not been to the NFC Championship game in 30 years. And he acts like it was yesterday and everything's fine with his organization. And there is no Micah Parsons contract yet. And we're just a couple of weeks away from the start of the season. The drama, the soap opera, it just goes on and on and on in Jerry's world. The last one, on the black and white picture, every player in the National Football League owes this guy a debt of gratitude. His name is Billy Houghton. Billy Houghton was a star wide receiver in the Lombardi era Green Bay Packers. Caught 503 passes when all they ever did was run the football.
Wow.
He played with Tobin Rote and other guys in Green Bay in the 50s and 60s. He just passed away at the age of 95. Billy Houghton was the one that stood up at a team meeting in the 1950s and said, we need to organize. Billy Houghton was the trigger man who went and searched out labor lawyers that formed the NFL Players Association. So players don't know who he was. I know the name because I was a kid growing up and I followed the old Green Bay Packers. And at times they weren't very good, and at times they became really great in the Lombardi era. Billy Houghton was a man ahead of his time intellectually.
Interesting.
He was the guy that created the idea, a union, a players association. And he was the point man to go find somebody to lead the players association. He just passed away. So do you want to talk about DeMaurice Smith? You want to talk about Jerry, or talk about the old Green Bay Packer?
Jerry, that guy, excuse me,
goes on and on and on.
It does. And it is interesting to your point. He walks around like, he's got, 6 Super Bowl rings. But to his credit, I mean, he has transformed Cowboy Nation. Because when they used to play in that old stadium in Irving, with the hole in the roof where God would put his hand down in the field, the franchise is so much different now. The merchandising around the team, the stadium there, in Arlington,
the Star, the entertainment district. Oh no, there's no doubt he's a superstar entrepreneur. But what a tired act, press conference after press conference every day, kind of like your president, just nonstop for a guy that hasn't accomplished anything in 30 years.
Well, yeah, but see, they're always challenging Jerry, and he likes to be in front of the spotlight. So he kind of likes, to your point, that is kind of Trumpian. But this other kid, the one that played for the Packers, wow, he passed away at the age of 97. You said?
I think it was 95.
95. I mean,
Billy Houghton.
That's a long life. Good for him. It's kind of like the Kurt Flood of the NFL, kind of one of the key guys in the labor movement.
503 receptions in an era in which they didn't throw the football.
It's interesting. You brought up the other guy. What was it?
Tobin Rote.
Okay, because I remember that name.
He played for the old San Diego Chargers in the AFL.
Was he a quarterback?
Yes, Green Bay, Detroit, and then he played for the Chargers in the really early AFL years.
Yeah, I mean, that name has sounded familiar to me.
Okay, that's all things National Football League. One last topic as it relates to football. Next stop, college football.
College football, the Mountain West and the Pac-12 are at war still.
Nice headline, lawyer up. Boise State has now filed a lawsuit against the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference. Now, we have the 5 schools who are exiting after this football season from the Mountain West to go be part of the new look, rebuilt Pac-12. Well, Boise State and San Diego State and Fresno and Colorado State, Utah State, etc., when they left, they announced they were leaving. They agreed they'd pay an $18 million exit fee to the Mountain West. Well, then, as the 2 remaining schools in the Pac-12 were out there on the street corner by themselves, Oregon State, Washington State, they needed a place to find games to schedule. So they came back to the Mountain West and said, let's work out an alliance where Oregon State, Washington State will come in and play non-conference games against everybody in the Mountain West. So the commissioner said, yeah, well, we can do that, but we're going to put a price on it. And by the way, in addition to you having to pay us to schedule against the Aztecs, the Broncos, the Rams, whomever, we're going to add an additional poaching fee for taking people. So that turned into a lawsuit because the Pac-12 says that's an antitrust exemption. It's our antitrust violation. You're trying to prevent us from going into business, trying to damage us before we even launched a new conference. So here's Boise State caught up in all this. They agreed to pay the $18 million. They're part of the consortium and says, we don't think we should pay a $55 million penalty for poaching on top of the $18 million. And now we find out that the commissioner, Gloria Norvez, has refused to release the $12 million Boise State got and earned last year in the college football playoffs. So now Boise's filed another individual lawsuit against her and against the conference because who's left in the conference is letting her do this. This is really nasty. Lawyer up.
The whole thing could have been avoided, don't you think? I mean, it was set up for a merger. Seems so obvious in the very beginning. But these are two, it's like a sibling rivalry. This is a fight that never should have really happened. So I don't know what to say about any of this. I mean,
the Pac-12 says, one of the ideas was Pac-12, close everything, turn the lights out. Just Oregon State, Washington State, come on down to our conference. They said, no, we're not dropping down to the Mountain West. Now we want to take 5. So they took 5 to go up there, and they all agreed to pay $18 million separation fee. But then the Mountain West came back and said, we're going to take a $55 million penalty fee because you're raiding us.
Well, I mean, you already making reference to, sounds like 2 lawsuits, right?
Yes.
And then there's that third one with Boise State because of the Grand Canyon thing in basketball. So there's just, this is total gunfire, being shot at here. I don't know how this whole thing sorts out.
Yeah. The only one's going to get rich are the lawyers.
Yeah, for sure.
Lawyer up. Okay. Feel free. Jump on board. You care about this at all? Last season of the Mountain West, as we've known the Mountain West, then 5 leave to go to the Pac-12. Let's go from football, NBA news and notes.
Yeah, we got NBA break and big money issues with the Pistons.
Yeah, it's quite a story. We talked about the gambling probe of Malik Beasley, pretty good veteran journeyman guard, Detroit Pistons. Find out that Malik Beasley's made $60 million over the course of his career. He's the focal point of a gambling probe in which all these bets were placed about how he would play in certain minutes of certain games, which is a red flag. A lot of bets were placed. So that gambling probe has gone on. Now we find out that he defaulted on a $650,000 loan at a bank, and we find out that he just got evicted from some luxury condo he lives in Detroit. He's $21,000 in the rears in rental payments. This guy made all this money in the NBA. Now he's involved with this gambling scandal. Now he's being sued for bank loan. Just absolutely staggeringly stupid. So a big problem with Malik Beasley. Cleveland Cavaliers. We talked about a week ago about Marcus Morris. Obviously loves Vegas, loves to play the game, loves the tables and the gambling and all that. He got into big debt over unpaid gambling gets to 2 Las Vegas casinos. And he wrote 2 checks that bounced, $250,000. That's a felony. Anyhow, he went back. He got the money. He paid the money. The charges have been dropped. But nobody wants to touch the guy right now. And the third one is the Houston Rockets. This is really interesting. You know about the Kevin Durant, Phoenix Suns, Houston Rockets trade, mega trade in June in the offseason. Rockets have told Kevin Durant, we will offer you a contract extension. Now, Durant's making $54.7 million this year. They said they'll offer him a contract extension, but they're not going to give him the max. He is eligible for 2 years, almost $120 million. Houston said, no, we're not going to give it to you. In fact, we want you to take a pay cut from where you are right now. And everybody's offended on Durant's side. While Durant is 37, you're not going to give them $60 million, which eats up a hell of a lot of your cap space when you got to pay all these other young guys whose careers are going up. I don't know where this whole thing with Durant's going to go, but they said, we want to keep you. We want you to finish with the Rockets. We want to be an NBA championship team, but we're not giving you $60 million per year at your age. So you want to talk about Beasley? You want to talk about bad debts at Las Vegas casinos? You can identify with that. And we're talking about Kevin Durant.
It's interesting how this is more than just sports. I mean, obviously, in this case, you have young men that obviously have gotten themselves into some money, and they don't know how to handle themselves. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I'm always thinking about more broadly beyond the world of sports is that we don't really teach young teenagers
economics.
Yeah, like just basic finances, because there are tools that are available to people to build like a really nice nest egg and have a really comfortable retirement, and take some of that money and save it. You could still go out and play and buy a fancy car, but you could put some aside and have it invested safely. There are tools that are available to people to help build wealth, and it's just a shame that we're not properly teaching this to people in our schools, because we could probably help people get out of poverty, but on this stage with sports, we could avoid all of this nonsense.
Where's the player agent on all this?
Well, the player agent, they do the deal and they cut and run. It's almost like these guys, they all need a business manager, every single one of these pro athletes, to manage their affairs outside of the game so they can just focus on playing. But there still needs to be, I think, there needs to be a prerequisite in like high school to teach basic personal finance.
Rookie seminars, NBA. You bring in the financial people. You got these guys. They're all in camp. You bring all your rookies in, and a club brings in a financial advisor that talks to them about the life of finances of a professional athlete.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that hard, but nobody seems to do it.
Well, they need to do that, but I'm thinking you need to do that for all of society. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, talk to your president about that. Okay, NBA, feel free to jump on board. Last topic on the table, hockey hotline open for business.
Yeah, in Florida, the captain's getting surgery.
Oh, Captain, my captain. You know how excited we were about the Four Nations tournament, how cool it was in the middle of the year in the NHL. It was a real price to be paid by all those players. And there were a whole bunch of players. I think there were 6 guys that had major injuries in that Four Nations tournament. Matthew Tkachuk is not going to start the season with the Florida Panthers. He's facing major surgery. I mean, he's the heart and soul of the Stanley Cup champion team. He's got a sports hernia problem. It's gotten worse in the offseason. He's facing surgery. He can't figure out what to do. He's going to be out, they think, now till at least January. And he's a really good hockey player. He's a really good leader, and he's a real tough guy. And he tried to labor through the second half of the season, and he was in and out of the Panthers lineup during the Stanley Cup Finals, and they still won the cup despite the fact they had a lot of people banged up. So, we talk about these special event games and tournaments, etc. Here's a prime example when you're asking these guys to go out and go beyond what their contracts say. What can happen to these guys? This is a bad situation.
It's unfortunate, but in the end, that Four Nations tournament was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it not just for the players, the fans, everybody loved that. And I think it's cool. Obviously soccer is the one that's most abused with all of these, in between the season tournaments. But I like it. I mean, if you have one tournament in there, you're not like this NBA has that NBA Cup in the early part of the season. In November. I mean, granted, it's in its infancy, but I like the idea, and I think, yeah, it's tough that he got injured in the Four Nations Cup, but you could be injured at any time during the regular season. It's just an unfortunate thing. I hope they don't shut down these tournaments because of an unfortunate injury.
Thing is, don't add it on to an already gruesome schedule on a playoff schedule. Rearrange your schedule. You shorten your schedule. I mean, as weird as the NBA Cup is, it's part of the 80 or 82 game schedule the NBA plays. It counts in the standings.
Right.
It just structured the schedule different. But this was a phenomenal. The Four Nations was phenomenal for the growth of global hockey. But that was add-ons to everything else they're doing. And he never got healthy. And then he tried to forge through the Stanley Cup playoffs. He was hurt the whole time, and he was trying to play on the ice. You could see he wasn't the same player. Now we find out he's got a worsening sports hernia situation, and those are tough surgeries to come back from.
Well, how long is the All-Star break for the NHL?
Well, usually it's a week.
Right.
Now with the Olympics coming up, it's probably going to be a 2-week extension for the bye.
Yeah. So, but the Four Nations Cup, that was during the All-Star break.
Yeah, but it was much more intense. It wasn't an all-star game. It was global hockey at its finest,
with national pride and everything else behind it. So I've always liked the idea of just expanding the all-star break. I mean, for every sport. And that way guys can kind of commend up, I mean, like a lot of these dudes, if you go to the all-star game in whatever sport, you don't get any days off.
Yep.
I mean, your teammates that weren't all-stars, they get at least to go chill, sleep in their own bed for 5 nights.
So this is tough on Tkachuk, and he's not going to, now they're saying he's not going to be back till January.
Wow.
And sports hernia surgeries are tough to come back from. That's it. Those are topics on the table. I'm not going to apologize. We do sports talk the way it should be done. But now you know late-breaking stories. Now it's your chance to join us. The Fans Forum chat box is open for business. This podcast brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. You got projects in the home. Just go to DixieLine.com. See all the things they have to offer to you. John Riley, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Think we had a few people with a few opinions?
Ooh. A lot of baseball comments. But let's kick it off with David because he gave us a $10 donation. Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you.
And he says, hey, it's not inflation. It's just higher prices. It's not unemployment. It's just unpaid vacation. Paying more for stuff is patriotic. It's not higher taxes, just higher on goods from tariffs.
So David's of the opinion he's not being taxed for being loyal. Again, we're referencing the Padres raising the ticket prices for the 5th year in a row. Okay, that's cool. I mean, you're the ones at the ticket window making the purchase, supporting the thing. I guess the bottom line, John, if the product continues to be really good, like postseason every year, like maybe in a World Series, maybe fans will continue to say, this is acceptable. But what happens if the product does not get good?
Well, then they won't show up. And then that's the market signal that the prices are too high, so it's a dynamic. There's an ebb and flow to this sort of thing. And right now the Padres are hot. The Dodgers are hot. I mean, you go buy a ticket in any of those at the Dodger Stadium, they're not cheap either, and by the way, you go to a concert anywhere. I mean, you're spending a hell of a lot. I mean, everything has changed. It's not like back in the days, you pay $7 for a box seat, at Ebbets Field. I mean, it's a very big difference now.
Okay. David, thank you for joining us. Everybody's got an opinion on this ticket price thing. Go ahead. John, next one.
Next one. Okay, let's go here to Raul. He goes, hey, Lee and John, hello, all the best on this Monday. The UFC deal with Paramount, will it change the pay-per-view model other sports have?
Interesting. I always wonder when you're going to get tapped out. Can you subscribe to everything? Because that's where a hell of a lot of this is going. I go crazy with Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV. I can't watch the games I'm used to watching because my team might be on Apple TV. That's another subscription on top of all these other subscriptions. So it's a way of life. Is there a ceiling? Is there an area in which we're going to be tapped out? Is this all going to be once upon a time off regular TV, off my cable channels? I don't know where it's going to go, but yeah, there's a lot of creative stuff that's going on everywhere, and you got to pay for it.
Yeah, I'm not privy to the deal here. Ultimate Fighting Championship with Paramount. I mean, I saw a headline about it that they reconfigured the contract, but everything is going this way. I mean, it's all pay-per-view. I mean, especially for some of these, big time. Like one time, my wife and I, we went to a sports bar here in Poway. This is like about 10 years ago, and we just went there to have a drink and like some hors d'oeuvres. And it turned out that it was a night when they were having a UFC fight. And it was packed with a lot of dudes that are all there. And they were getting like $10, $15 cover charges just to get in, So this pay-per-view model, it's been a thing forever. I think it's just going to continue that way. Now, as far as UFC and Paramount, like I said, I don't know the detail of that.
Well, Paramount's an offshoot of CBS and all the creative stuff that they're doing, which is like ESPN has now gone to ESPN Plus and all the special events.
Yeah.
They're going to be part of their addendums to their current contracts.
That's how I see my UCSD Triton basketball team. It's on ESPN Plus. Yeah.
Interesting to see we're doing this podcast 3 years from now. I think landscape's going to change even more.
Yeah, things are very fluid right now. Okay, let's go to Casey. Hey, good afternoon, guys. Hacksaw, how you think my USC Trojans will do this year? And if they have another disappointing season, you think Lincoln Riley goes on the hot seat?
A lot of people think he's on a hot seat right now, but he's got such a buyout. I don't see that happening. And USC has poured a lot of resources into that program, the new training center. I mean, they've done a lot of things. They just need to be top 5. But Mayava, the quarterback who came from Vegas, he played pretty well at the tail end of last season. He is the guy. They've had really good recruiting classes back to back. Transfer portal have had to haul a lot of linemen in. They do think their defense is going to be even better with Danton Lynn there as the second-year defensive coordinator. End of the day, I think Riley's there. They can't afford to get rid of him because of the kind of contract and negotiate, but he has to win. Here's the shocker. Preseason poll came out today. Now, tell me in your lifetime, did you ever think you'd see this? In your lifetime, Boise State, BYU be ranked ahead of USC in the preseason poll.
Wow.
Ranked way ahead.
Wow.
Yeah, USC is 29th in the country. Southern Cal Trojans are 29th in the country.
Just, I mean, it's just, they were always like a top 5 program. I remember when I was growing up.
Past tense.
Yeah. And even during the Reggie Bush era, they were always right there at the top, so I don't, now the quarterback, we talked about him. We got him mixed up with Mason Miller. It's Miller Moss, right?
Miller Moss was there and then got benched and then walked out, announced in the middle of the season, go to the transfer portal. And luckily they had Mayava there, who came from UNLV after one sizzling season. He was I thought he was going to be a superstar in the Mountain West, and he bailed, and he went to Southern Cal. He had forced him on the field. He played pretty well.
Okay.
I think he was 4-1. So it is his program right now.
Well, it's interesting to see like these Pac-12 schools going into the Big Ten, and they're like oftentimes in the bottom half. I mean, did USC finish in the bottom half last year of the Big Ten?
They scuffled to get to 500. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was kind of messy at the end, and it was messy the year before.
Mhm.
And Lincoln Riley has not been welcome with open arms because this hasn't been what they thought it would be. His first year with Caleb Williams was spectacular. Second year, the whole bloody thing fell apart, and Caleb was running for his life every game, and then obviously went to the National Football League. So
Sooner fans are still upset.
Oh,
You know, because he took the money and ran.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's where we are. USC, I don't think he's on a hot seat. He's not a real popular figure right now. But when in your lifetime, Casey, did you ever think BYU and Boise State be ranked ahead of Southern Cal, which is 29th? 29th is just ahead of obscurity in college football.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, where's UCLA? It's probably not even on the radar.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No. And San Diego State's even farther back than that.
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness. Case, thanks for being with us.
Okay, let's go to Lenny. He goes, hey, Padres need to have their starting pitchers do more innings. Otherwise, their bullpen will be worn out by the playoffs.
One of the interesting things I've observed, and this is not a criticism of Mike Schilt, but I don't quite understand it. So they get Mason Miller in this trade, and they say, wow. So now they've gone from the four horsemen to the Fab Five, or maybe as I call them sometimes, the six-pack of relievers. But all of a sudden, they're doing things differently. Why is Jason Adam coming out of the bullpen in the fifth inning? Why is Morion coming as early as he is? You have a structure that was working really well. You know, whether that was Estrada, then Morion, then Adam, then Suarez. This had worked for the 2/3 of the season. Why all of a sudden last week, post-trading deadline, are we bringing guys in the fifth inning and they're scuffling? That, you know, I had thought that the theory was, well, we got Mason Miller. We'll have two sets of bullpen brigades. Mason Miller and the guys they'll be called at pitch on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then we could have the other relief group, you know, whether it's Morion, Adam, Suarez. Yeah, they could do it on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Sunday.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen. I don't understand why Schilt is calling guys out of the pen now in different responsibilities than they had before when they were excelling before. It kind of it doesn't make any sense.
Well, first of all, we had the case of Michael King coming back from the injury. I think only went 3 1/3. So you already knew you were going to have to dip into your bullpen early. So
that's Wandy Peralta and friends. I understand that.
Yeah.
That's David Morgan. I understand that. But why you're asking Jason Adam to pitch in the fifth inning of a game?
They kind of, I mean, the way that I'm reading it is that they kind of have it set up where any guy could be called on at any time. Because remember before when it was the four horsemen, you know, they were getting worked like almost every night, especially Jason Adam, you know, and you saw Adam's, you know, performance begin to tail off. So now I think, you know, they've got all these bullets and they can plug them in the chamber, you know, for fifth inning, eighth inning, and they're all rotatable pieces, maybe with the exception of Suarez. So I think it's cool. I think it's creative. And I think, if anything, the Dodgers last year in the playoffs, you know, skunking the Padres for 24 innings goes to show you got to look at the matchups, do the analytics, and find the right reliever for the right part of the opponent's lineup.
Okay. That's his explanation. I just asked a question that one of other fans thought the same. Lenny, thanks for being with us. Next one, John.
Okay. This next one, is Eric Grupner again. But I don't think it's the real Eric Grupner. I think it's a fraud. I think it was a guy pulling our leg last night.
Well, if it was a legitimate question, that's okay. If it's not a legitimate question, we're not going to put it on. But go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to skip this Eric Grupner. If we're making a mistake, my apologies. Let's keep moving on. We'll go to Juan. He goes, hey, hello, Lee. I love your show. About our pitching staff, I know we're not playing our best, but this year we got a better chance. What do you think? I'm not sure. Is this a Padre or a Dodger fan?
It's probably a Dodger fan. It's got to be a Dodger fan. Now, I will say this. They're starting to get their starters back. They look really healthy. I mean, this collection, and John and I have been joking about the cavalry's coming. Well, it's there. But the bullpen is just a disaster. 4.25 ERA and 19 blown saves. And and they can't figure it out. They can't trust anybody. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. I really thought one of the solutions would have been to take Dustin May, take him out of the rotation, let him be your first long guy, and just let him come in for 2 innings and throw heat and do what he does. But they didn't do it. They traded him. They said, well, if not Dustin May, Landon Knack, who had pitched pretty well. The left-hander, Robleski, had pitched pretty well in spurts. They just need somebody that they can trust early on, and it's not happened. And the back end of the bullpen is in just disarray. What happened Sunday against the Blue Jays was a disaster. Trinan gave up back-to-back home runs, and then Vessier came in and threw 1 pitch in the 9th. That was a home run. They gave up 3 home runs to 6 batters.
That's weird.
Oh,
it's really strange. But I mean, as far as Dustin May is concerned, I think the Dodgers asked him to go into the bullpen, and he said he wasn't interested.
Exactly, and that's how we wound up going to Boston.
Yeah, exactly. So, when you get Kirby Yates back, and that guy, it's amazing he's still pitching. I mean, he had a nice run with the Padres in the early or the mid-teens, right?
And he's moved around, and he's a post-surgery guy. He's had arm problems, but who are you going to trust right now? I mean, I think they burned Tanner Scott out.
Yeah.
I don't think you can trust Yates very much. He's not the same pitcher. He got lit in Atlanta too.
How about Bobby Miller? Are they going to bring him up?
He's only thrown 6 innings, but he hasn't given up a hit yet. And he got 10 strikeouts in 6 innings at Oak City. That might be a bit of a reach this early, but
for like 1 inning, and so here we go back to having these movable parts, and it's like a positionless basketball team, right? Where everyone flows and you go to the guy who has the hot hand or who has the best matchup. And Bobby Miller could be one of those bullets.
We'll find out. Boy, what a great 2 weeks of baseball we got in the National League West, because everybody plays everybody else.
Well, here's this follow-up on this, and this is from a Dodger fan who's kind of reflecting a lot of the mood online. And this is from T. Drizzy. Dodgers are not worried about no Padres, and the bullpen is overworked due to injuries. Dodger Blue will be crowned in October. Padres can be July, August paper champions.
Oh. Let's just let it play out on the field. Tizzy, just make sure you show up here on Thursday when we preview Dodgers Padres. Make sure you're here Friday, I should say next Monday after the weekend series is completed. So we'll just continue to have this dialogue, but it's interesting. I mean, the Dodgers have a great batting order. The Dodgers could have a gold standard starting rotation. The Dodgers are a disaster in the bullpen. And the Padres, they've got injury issues. They've got durability issues right now at the front end of that rotation. And the Padres have a gold standard bullpen right now. And the Padres collectively have an impact lineup that I think there's a whole bunch of different guys can do a bunch of different things. You just make sure you show up once the series starts Thursday, and then we'll recap it next Monday.
Just think about, like, if you're a Red Sox fan, they went forever, without winning a world championship.
1918 was a long haul ago.
Yeah. And then it was 2004 or something like that when they won finally. So I think the Yankee-Red Sox rivalry is very similar to Padres-Dodgers, because the Yankees were the world beaters. They would always win. But at some point, the little brother gets one up on the big brother, and this could be that year.
Preller spent the limit on the credit card. He traded the whole farm system again so they could get this lineup fixed, and they did. And they're only 2 games out. I think that's the thing that's most mind-boggling. The Dodgers were 9 up, and I thought this thing was effectively over July 3rd. And now they're only 2 up, and they got issues at Dodger Stadium, and the Padres kind of look like a more complete team than the Dodgers do. Yes? No?
Well, you've been making that claim for the last few weeks. There's logic behind it, but I think until you prove it on the field, and that's what's a great thing. These next 2 weeks are going to be so good.
Yeah.
I mean, so tonight, the Padres are playing the Giants in San Francisco, right?
Logan Webb starts.
Oh, okay.
San Francisco, but they're tanked.
Logan Webb's the guy who looks like Jesse Plemons from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
But who are the Dodgers opening up with this week? Who are their opponents going to be?
Oh, I got brain lock.
Okay.
Oh, you asked me too quick.
Well, but anyways, I saw the Padres schedule, and they the Padres, after they get through this gauntlet of Giants, they get like the Twins, the White Sox, a lot of the Rockies. It'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, the Dodgers are playing Angels.
Oh, interesting. That could go either way.
I don't think so.
Well, but
they also have some games interspersed in the middle of all this against the Rockies.
Oh, yeah, great. Okay, yeah, here we go.
That's where we are.
Okay, that's
all right. Thank you.
Okay, here's a comment from Iron. He says, should trade for Milton quarterback at Dallas, I think. This might be a Rams comment, with the Stafford injury, maybe?
Joe Milton is awful wild. Played at the University of Tennessee. He's just a young quarterback. I mean, he's going to be, I think he's the backup to Prescott now in Dallas. So I'm not even sure that he's not ready to play. If you're telling me that Stafford has to go to the sidelines for an extended period because of this back problem that they can't solve, well, then it's got to be Garoppolo just based on experience. Joe Milton is no different than Stetson Bennett. They're both young guys in camp, have hardly played in the NFL at all. Stetson Bennett, to me, looks really different as a third-year young guy than Joe Milton does in his second year. Milton was in New England, and the Patriots let him go. But he's at this point, he's just a young athlete. He's got to learn how to play. So I don't think Milton's a solution if the Rams situation gets worse and worse with Matthew Stafford.
Jimmy G has had some nice runs. I mean, that one year he took the Niners to the NFC Championship. Yep. But he's just sort of a steady Eddie guy.
But he gets hurt. He's had a lot more injuries than you normally think.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. We'll see. I just hope for Stafford's sake that he can come back, because he is such a difference maker in terms of leader and big time player. I mean, he threw for 3,700 yards last year.
Amazing.
So
I mean, he's 37 years old, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, unbelievable.
On we go. Thanks.
Okay. Let's go back to David. Thank you for the donation, David. Is this, hey, do you think Machado can keep his mouth shut against the Dodgers? Or will he show who he is and stir up his teammates to be jerks?
Well, I don't think it's just Machado. I mean, they do get fired up. I mean, Tatis he's got an edge to him to show Dodger fans how special he is, etc. Some find that offensive. But that was last year. And this is a whole different set of circumstances. This is a very different Padre team at this hour than it was 2 weeks ago, than it was last year in postseason play. The Dodgers, they don't have those dynamic personalities. There is a flair to Fernando, and there is a flair to Manny. The Dodgers don't. The Dodgers they just got steady workman guys like Ohtani and like Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. It's a different way to do business at Dodger Stadium with those players than it is with the Friars. And there's nothing wrong with having emotion and playing on the edge, etc. Dodger fans resent Machado. It's just nonstop.
Yeah, nonstop. It's funny. Wherever he goes on the road, everyone always boos him.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter what stadium he's in. Manny Machado, and boo, everyone's booing him. But the Padre Dodger series emotionally has gotten to a whole different level.
Oh, sure.
So you got Dave Roberts playing some Jedi mind tricks on the Padres. They're trying to get underneath each other's skin. So that's what makes it so fun to watch.
It's made playoff baseball this week. I mean, the Padres-Red Sox series, that was pretty electric. That kind of felt like playoff baseball, though. Boston is so good, but so young. Boston never been there before. And I figured, here come the Padre bullpen guys, and it struck out 13 one game, 14 another game. And poor Red Sox kids were just overwhelmed.
Well, did you see the at-bat on Sunday? And Adrian Morejon was pitching and to Roman Anthony, and he struck him out like on a changeup, down and in or something like that. And boy, Morejon was fired up, man. He was ready for that. And he was you could see on every pitch, he was sort of pumping himself up emotionally. He was shaking his head like, yeah, I'm that dude, and it all went. So it was great theater. And again, that just makes sports so fun,
I think this will be great theater this week. Not so much against the Giants, who are 2-11 at home.
It's interdivisional.
The Giants don't have any firepower.
Well, but the Giants fans usually travel pretty well. So, it's still going to be good stuff. Those games are not going to be cakewalks. Giants are going to try to be knocking the Padres off.
Padres-Dodgers. Yeah, I think the world will be watching that one.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, David.
Okay, let's talk a little San Diego State from Raul. He goes, hey, guys, why are San Diego State football tickets so expensive? Why not lower ticket prices, get more fans and families in? They
priced it wrong right from the get-go at Snapdragon Stadium, Raul. whoever gave them advice, it was disastrous. They must have thought, well, the Chargers are gone. We'll just price it high and we'll rake in Charger fans. And that did not happen. And it's too bad because the product has really slipped. I mean, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Under Rocky Long and Brady Hoke, they were combined 106 and 48. That's pretty damn good football. And obviously, since that point in time at the tail end of the Brady Hoke era, and then obviously what happened last year with Sean Lewis, they're 7-19, and the roster turnover has been ridiculously high, and they've lost the community. Their season tickets, they're just over 6,000 now. And at one point it was 15,900 plus. And now it's just a shade over 6,000. So prices to me are really high. Now, if you're going to scream back Aztecs for life, that's fine. You can buy a season ticket. And I was stunned. I didn't know this till 2 weeks ago. You can buy a season ticket for $200 plus a contribution to the Aztec Club.
But that's a big number, that contribution, isn't it?
No, not for the $200 price tag. Now, if you're going to buy 50-yard line seats, yes.
But you, even for the inexpensive ticket, you have to kick in more than $1,000?
No.
No?
No, you can buy the $200 season ticket for $25 donation to the Aztec Athletic. I mean,
only 25.
You'll be sitting up there with Bob Uecker in the cheap seats. But that's okay.
Yeah.
You're supporting it.
You know, it's interesting is we were talking about the dynamic with Padre prices, and the Padres have raised prices, but people still show up.
Mm-hmm.
Aztecs, they're getting a market signal as well, right? You know, people don't show up as much. You know, they're not willing to pay the price. So they need to, the right thing to do would be to bring the price down.
But that's unfair to the corporate sponsors and the people that bought lifetime season tickets. You're going to cut the prices?
Well,
they've done that a couple times already.
And that makes them bitter, no question. Yes. But, you know, the market is dynamic and things change. So I think the Aztec, you know, brain trust is probably thinking if we did let's say a 50% cut in prices, it'd be really hard for them to ever bring it back up. And it just destroys their whole financial model. They just need to win. You know, if Sean Lewis has a good year this year and they get, you know, 75% capacity at Snapdragon, I think everything's going to be fine. But if it's another crap year, then they're going to have to make some hard choices.
I mean, I'm shocked. I've gone out there a lot. I am shocked. Their last two home games, 10,000 came into the stadium. The last two home games in a stadium that was built to seat 32. 10,000. Now, granted, the team was losing. They were 3-9. They fell apart. You had the fallout in the aftermath of the Brady Hoke era, which didn't end real well, which is too bad. But, God, they were 106 and 48, and now they're 7-19 and empty seats everywhere.
Well, now, I haven't looked at their schedule, but obviously they're meant to play at night when the temperature is cooler. Mm-hmm. But sometimes TV kind of puts them in the middle of the day, and people get angry about bacon out there.
Well, they got baked. It all started with the first home game against Arizona at Snapdragon, which was 1:10 in the afternoon. It was 110, and the people roasted in the stadium, and then they got killed. And it's been downhill ever since that point.
You know, I've been to a game at at Oklahoma to watch the Sooners, and it was like the first game of the year. I think it was like in early September, late August, and it was hotter than crap out there and humid, and there ain't no shade over there, you know, in the Oklahoma Sooner football stadium. And it's interesting how, you know, San Diego fans say, we want shade. It's not nice enough for us.
Well, the product isn't very good right now.
Yeah.
That works against them.
Well, one of my buddies told me that when San Diego got the MLS team, that the idea was that the MLS was going to kick in money to put those, you know, tarp shades over the top.
That's expensive. That's an expensive renovation.
Yeah, but they thought it was going to be part of this whole MLS thing, but obviously that hasn't happened.
Yeah. We'll see. Product's got to get better on the field. I don't know if the fans are going to come back. I don't get a sense the fans are coming back. It's like the community just has walked away from it, which is, I think, is terrible because the product was pretty good in different chunks of eras. This product has been pretty good. And it's your school. It's your, like you say, Aztec for life. And
it's a great stadium. I mean, I've been there a few times for Aztec games, and I've really enjoyed it. You know, there's a lot of interesting food. Like some of the food choices are what you'd see at Peoria for Padres spring training, you know, that are out there in their little booths, as well as the standard hot dog, beer, you know, concession stand.
But the problem is everything there is this.
Well, yeah, but the same with Petco. I mean, everything's different. You know, we don't go see a double feature for $2 anymore. No. This ain't, you know, 1938.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, this is an interesting topic to talk about from Sherry. He says, hey, Dodgers can win. Dodgers can have their series win. The Jays will win the next one in the World Series. Go Jays, go.
Well, they had a really disappointing weekend with Dodger Stadium. Should have lost all three, which would have been a punch on the gut. Did come back, but they've got a really complete baseball team. And, it used to be, well, is Vlad and Bo going to carry us? Because that's what they had to do. They got so many guys. I mean, Alejandro Kirk is hitting 310, a power hitting catcher. Actually, he's from out here. I think he's either from Tijuana or El Centro.
Yeah, Tijuana.
Alejandro Kirk is having a really good season. They got a whole bunch of young guys, and they're steady Eddie pitching staff. None of those guys go into Cy Young. Every one of those guys in the Toronto rotation is very, very trustworthy. So I think the Jays are a really good team. Is this the first woman ever that's been with us in Fans Forum?
Oh, no, we've had other women.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just noticed
that. It's interesting that our software platform StreamYard has now made the Fans Forum text bigger and the photo of the person that's dropping in bigger.
Way to go, Sherry.
Yeah, right on. It's funny, Alejandro Kirk, man, that dude's a fire plug.
Oh, a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
But boy, he's a grinder. He's kind of like smaller version of Sal Perez, Kansas City's catcher.
Or to me, I think of like Lorenzo Neal or something, just a big wide body dude. And he's kind of like compact, but boy, he can hit.
He's hitting 310 last I checked last week.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got some really good young players there. And they don't have any pitchers that are going to win 21 games, and they don't have guys going through 100 miles an hour. They got crafty starting pitchers, and they got a collection of the batting order. And obviously Guerrero and Bichette have to hit their 300s and hit home runs, but they are this season. Thanks, Sherry. Next one.
Oh, Canada. Okay. Let's go back to Richard. He says, hey, can the Padres play the Dodgers without the emotional, out-of-control play these last 6 games remaining? It starts and ends with Manny. Can we just enjoy the series without the San Diego BS?
Well, some of that's got to do with the fans incite the players. The players get excited. When you make big plays, the stadium goes crazy. I mean, I do think there's something to be said for beat LA, and go Dodgers, go, etc. So these events, these games in the last 2 years, calendar years, have really become electric. I think the vibrancy at Petco Park is just spectacular. And the product's been pretty damn good. So I don't have a problem with it, as long as it's in good fun. But these guys do play with a lot of emotion. They wear it on their sleeve. At least the Friars do.
Yeah. And the fans kind of create all that energy in the park, and the players sort of feed off of it. But I don't know, they always try to make Manny the bad guy, and like he just sort of threw that ball like towards the dugout, and they're like, oh my God, it was an incoming projectile. It almost put me on the injured list. And Dave Roberts was, pushing buttons and that whole thing. I don't know.
And Mike Schilt has the ability to be a red ass too. That's okay.
Yeah, but the whole Robert Schilt, like, they got face to face there for a while, and yeah, that was pretty cool. And remember, we saw that with Dave Roberts and Andy Green too. But to me, it's just big brother, little brother, and it's a great dynamic to watch the ball game and be a part of it in the fan experience.
Can't wait. Get through this giant series against your dead wood there in McCovey Cove, and let's get to the other one. All right, let's go to social media before we wrap this up.
Well,
go ahead.
I want to do one more here. One more from and this is from Raul. He says, Browns have agreed to retire Sanders' number after he fails to make the practice squad.
Oh, geez, you're piling on early. Raul, that's terrible. Let's give the kid a chance. Let's just see. He'll cut himself, or he'll make the roster himself. But that old NFL story, oh, you got 2 quarterbacks? You don't have any. They got 5. I don't think they got a legitimate starter yet, but the kid is an athlete. Let's just see how he grows. I hope they play him in the next 2 games. Just give him a half of each game, and let's just see how he does, and does he make some progressions here? Because I thought it was really entertaining to watch him run all over the place, but you can't do that. Once we start playing real NFL games with Pro Bowlers, can't do that.
What's up with Dylan Gabriel? What's the latest?
With hamstring. He's not practicing. At least he was not supposed to practice today. So we'll see if he gets a chance to practice this week, gets in 1 game, etc. The starter is going to be either Flacco or Pickett, and Pickett, the one that's had the lingering hamstring problem. So it looks like Flacco is going to be the starter.
Joe Flacco, man, he's like a cockroach. He doesn't die. But he still plays. He plays effectively.
Age 42, Delaware Blue Hen. Think about that.
That's 1AA, right?
Yes, and we always talk about that guy where they came from. He's not the first one to start from Delaware. Rich Gannon.
Oh, interesting.
Rich Gannon was an option quarterback at Delaware. He became a longtime star in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Very trustworthy, intelligent guy.
Raiders, Chiefs.
Oh, yeah. Cool guy. So, and Flacco's kind of like that. Different type quarterback.
Right.
Okay, let's do social media here.
Yeah, Raul's got like Fidel Castro in his avatar.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's roll along here. And okay, let's talk a little bit about the Dodgers. And this is with Ball 7906. He said, hey, Hacksaw, you were too early on this post. Mookie and Shohei both are now hot. Shohei has 41 homers on August 10th. Betts is 8 for his last 28 with 6 RBI.
But you know what? In the 8th and 9th inning of that Sunday game against Toronto with the bases loaded twice, guys didn't produce. Mookie's been hurt, and he says the hand injury that he had last year has continued to trail him this year. We'll see if he continues to hit. Now, he's had a good week, finally, and they've kind of tried to move him out of where he was in the batting order. Ohtani's doing well, but he's not hitting everything. He's hitting home runs, but he's not hitting for average. And ever since they ramped up pitching, his ability to do some of this other stuff in terms of prep has kind of gone away. So he's not quite the terrorist at bat that he was the first half of the season because he's so much prep time towards pitching. We can analyze every player forever and ever. Doesn't matter. Let's see what they do on the field.
Well, it's funny because that video, we recorded it on Thursday, and I think I released it, after it was done editing on Saturday, or maybe it was Sunday. And so, but a lot can change in a few days. And suddenly, Mookie started hitting again.
Yeah, extra base hits. I concur.
Okay. Let's go here. We'll talk. Let's go here for talk a little Padres, and we'll go here to Charles. He goes, hey, Lee, long time listener, we'll be fine. They have 3 years to make up the ground on what they traded away. We're going to run out of time with Manny. He's not going to be hitting like this a couple of years down the road. Padre fans are packing Petco. They got to make the playoffs this year to keep this fan base going. Your Petco is running at 106% of capacity. They had to do something serious.
Well, Padres have done everything except get to the Fall Classic, and that's the next thing that has to happen. My only reaction last week, and I still maintain it this week, 50%, 57% hike in tickets over 5 years. Man, that's monstrously big. I mean, it is expensive to go to a game. Food is expensive. Clothing is expensive. Parking is expensive. You can rationalize it's like that everywhere. Maybe that's true. But their window is right now. It's got to be this year or next year to be World Series because this age and contract length issue, that's all going to catch up to them. And now maybe you say, no big thing. We'll just continue to draft well, develop them, and then use them as trade bait for the next wave of veteran players we're going to get in. I guess you keep buying on the credit card, but doesn't the credit card come due sometime?
Yeah. Well, it seems, if they're willing to trade DeVries, then no one's safe, right? Yeah. And I saw that DeVries had removed a lot of his photography off of Instagram after the trade. And so a lot of people were saying he was angry about it. And that was the idea, the hypothesis. But then there was a report that was released in Major League Baseball that talked about which franchises the players want to play for and have heard good things about it. And the A's are at the bottom of the list.
Sure.
The Dodgers are at the top, and the Padres somewhere in the middle. I thought the Padres would be a little higher.
Yeah, so did I. But maybe that's because Preller's reputation. You draft him, you're going to trade him. Guys aren't going to be here.
Yeah, well, that's just the nature of the business. Because even if you make the squad, a lot of guys that get released, they get picked up somewhere else, and they're just movable parts. I mean, that's just the way it goes. By the way, Charles says, Lee, long time listener. How often do you hear that? Long time listener, first time caller?
I get yelled at a lot. Yes. Guys, the most funniest thing is I cross paths with people all the time, and it's great. And I like to say hi to people, etc. It's hard because people won't start doing a talk show. And, Do you remember I called you in 1991 and you yelled at me about something you said about the Denver Broncos? Yeah, well, it's kind of hard for me to remember every phone call I took because I took so many phone calls for so many years. But it's nice to be remembered. And this is so cool that we got all these people that have now surfaced, have kind of circled back to us now that the landscape has changed and they know where we all are doing podcasts now instead of doing sports talk radio. So do I miss it? Yes. Am I happy doing this? Yes. It is a lot of work. This doesn't happen just by showing up 15 minutes before airtime and hoping it goes.
No, I mean, you do your work. I mean, you come in here with all these notes. But by the way, I called you. It was like 1990, maybe 89.
Oh, you were the dumbass I hung up on. Yes, I remember that call.
But yeah, I did. Okay, let's keep on going. And
a couple more here on social media.
Let's go to the Rams comment. And this is from Conrad. He goes, hey, Matthew Stafford talking about his back problem. Hey, he is one of the toughest quarterbacks in the league. He's starting practice on Monday. That's today. Rams are going to preserve Stafford until September. Rams are going to the NFC Championship.
It's a setback, though, because as we broke the story, he walked to practice in clothes. He left before practice started, not on the practice field, sent to a hyperbaric chamber. That's oxygen treatment of injuries. He's not ready. Evidently, something happened between the 60 passes he threw Saturday and what happened yesterday or this morning, the fact that he felt very uncomfortable. So they're not putting him back on the field. So I wouldn't call it a setback yet, but maybe I would call it a setback because he's not close to just being able to do routine things, much less go 100%. So I'd be really worried because now we're just 3 weeks out.
Yeah, it's getting down to crunch time here. Mm-hmm. So we'll find out more on him. Let's keep moving on. Talk a little about the Chargers. This is a follow-up to the whole Rashawn Slater going down for the injury. You pointed out a lot of other things going on with the Chargers. And Dragon Rider Sally said, holy crap, he's the biggest hater of all time.
How can I be a hater? I'm telling you what I think. You lost the #1 offensive lineman, the second highest rated left tackle in the entire NFL. That covers about 75 players at that position. You lost him. You gave up on the idea of moving Zion Johnson to center because he couldn't handle pass blocking at center and all the other responsibility. Your offensive center is 32nd ranked, the worst starting center in the league. You gave all this money to Mekhi Becton, has not practiced since the 28th. They're not telling us why. And you got to go back to Trey Pipkins, who was found wanting at right tackle and at right guard. Now he's got to be your right tackle again. I mean, the only saving grace is Joe Alt is so good, he can go from right side to left side to replace Slater, but it's just no longer the same team. And I'm a hater? I'm just telling you the facts. These are the facts. What am I perceiving that's wrong here?
No, it's funny, though, because there are other comments online this past week. They're saying, hey, is Hacksaw on the Dodgers payroll? You know, they're all like, you know, he loves them or he hates them, you know, but there has been a lot of, you know, bummer news coming out of camp. I mean, and it's been that way for the past few weeks because it started with the Najee Harris thing.
Yeah, exactly. But are they a good team? Yes. But now all of a sudden there's some flaws. You know, I was all excited with the reality, Sally, that the Chargers had 3 #1 draft picks in the offensive line, and that was going to be the foundation. Well, now you got one. The other one is struggling, and the rest of them all have issues. So I'm just really worried about that. And Najee Harris was an increment part of what was going to make this running game much better. And now it's got to be strictly on Omari Hampton, who's a raw rookie. And if he's running behind an offensive line, that's not what I thought it would be. I think there's just these problems. I'm keep checking off all these issues and there's problems there. Hater? Nah, I'm not a hater. Jeez.
Well, you said Slater was the #2 left tackle. It was like Trent Williams, #1?
I think he was.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out who it would have been.
Yeah. But that's out of 75 guys who played left tackle last year.
Right.
And he never came out of the games. Second rated. Oh, and such a fluke play. And the injury is tough. I exchanged emails with a sports medicine guy who says patella tendon injuries and tackles are really hard to come back from. So they're going to 10 to 12 months.
Oh, yeah. Hey, let's go here. One more here. We'll talk a little bit about the new lady umpire. This is from Hubster. And he says, that shows her calling a strike when the computer says it was a ball. That was the first pitch.
Well, that's okay. She wasn't Angel Hernandez by any stretch. But she seemed to get pretty good reviews from everybody. Players, fellow umpires are just really generous in their support of her. So We'll just see how she grades out as she goes along, but it is a different game up here. I mean, the stuff these guys throw is wicked. And I understand missed calls. Now, I don't understand erratic strike zones, moving home plates. Some of these umpires are just terrible. But, hey, she's worked hard, and she's graded every level she graded at in each league. She was really top in efficiency. So let's just see what she does. But the fellow umpires were very, very positive and supportive of her right from the get-go. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, I would expect that, and I'd imagine the players too being supportive of the whole idea. We're kind of evolving, I mean, 30, 40 years ago, this would never have happened.
Exactly.
But I saw a ranking where, because they grade these umpires, so home plate umpires, every game.
Yep.
And out of the 15 games, she was ranked number 13. So it's kind of down near the bottom. But I was telling my wife about the first pitch, and it was, it was inside by like a good 4 or 5 inches and strike one, and my wife was saying, no, she's just probably nervous,
Yes, I think so.
But I just want robo ump.
It's coming. It's coming. But I want consistency.
Well, I don't want consistently bad. I want consistently good. And that's what the robo ump is going to do. They have the technology. They're just afraid to fully roll it out because you're going to get resistance from the umpire union, and probably certain, players are going to be upset about it.
I don't want to hear from the men in blue. You've had years and years to get better at the job. And the home plate balls and strikes issues in the last 2 years, it's degraded. It's gotten absolutely worse. I want to see 5 challenges each manager per game, because there'll be more questionable calls than just the 2 that the guys are allowed to say, check that. Let's give them 5. Let's get as many right calls as we can.
Yeah, well, don't have challenges. Just that's the mechanism that calls balls and strikes.
Well, it's not going to be for every pitch.
But they should do it for every pitch. They can do it. It's doable, I mean, just get it right. I mean, they do it with tennis, like when you see the computer enhanced animation.
Line calls.
The line calls, they don't say we're going to have to do a challenge, for a tennis. They just do it when they need to use it to get it right. So to me, that's what they need to do with all this.
I don't know. You better be careful. As we start using challenges on this podcast, there'll be a lot of people listen to what you have to say. They'll be showing the pictures on you. Yeah. Hey, listen, we hope you've enjoyed this podcast. We are here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. We cover topics on the table. We really enjoy having you with us in Fans Forum. Tell everybody who we are. Share. Tell them we're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. You get the alerts. Every time we put something up on the YouTube channel, please check my website. I want you to become a regular and do that daily. You won't believe the volume of information I provide on LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Podcast brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers. Go to DixieLine.com to see all they have to offer. Is it August 15th yet? No. Dodgers, Padres coming.
That's going to start on probably Friday night, right?
Is it Friday or Thursday? I can't tell.
Well, it's got to be, because I know there's 6 games left.
It's Friday,
so there'll be
Saturday,
2 3-game series then. But the Giants, they're 7 games.
Yeah, 3 there, 4 here.
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, so they'll get Thursday off. But tonight, Giants Padres, going to watch that.
And we'll be back on Thursday at 1:30, and we'll kind of be breaking down Padres Dodgers. Will the Padres be in first place by the time we get to Thursday's show, going towards the Friday game and the great sports weekend? We'll find out. Thanks for being with us. Always glad to have you part of our team on Hacksaw's Headlines.